Hello. Sorry, I got something in my ear. Yeah. Hello and welcome to Footy Corner. This is a Premier League review show. I'm Sparks. Welcome to everybody. If you're joining us live, please make sure you're hitting the likes and sharing the live, and drop any comments you have in the comments section wherever it is on your screen because it can vary. But yeah, just please make sure you're liking and subscribing to the channel, sharing it out. We've got three amazing guests for you to discuss the Ipswich game and the upcoming Palace game and a few other subjects. Welcome in, Georgia boy. How are we, sir?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Thanks. Cheers for having me back on.
You're welcome anytime, sir. And anytime. You had a good day?
Yeah, not too bad. Working from home, it was nice to watch. It's been a bit of a mad weekend because I went to the women's semi-final and then decided to get very, very drunk and then come back and watch 2 nights of WrestleMania, then watch Raw. So, yeah, as you do.
Yeah, they were a bit unlucky in that. To be fair, I
Yeah, I
thought
just
that.
think we just didn't take our chances, mate. In the
Yeah,
semi-final, you have to take your chances. So I think I'm off to Lyon on Friday. I think
oh,
we
you're
can
going to
turn
that?
it.
Nice.
Yeah. I think we can turn it around. So we've got
Yeah,
more
me,
of a
me.
chance than Chelsea. So
Say that again.
we've got a better chance than Chelsea have. So
Yeah, there is that.
yeah.
But yeah, there you go. Tabs, welcome in again. How are we?
Yeah, good. I'm a bit deaf because I didn't realize how loud the music was going to be, and my earphones are on full blast. So I'm a bit struggling with my ears. No, I'm all good. I'm all good. Yeah, good to be back on.
I'm not sure that's a me problem or a you problem. To
No,
be
no, it
honest.
was me. I had my volume really loud on the computer. All my fault.
Callum, welcome in, mate.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be back on again.
Yeah, back again. Yes, after a long absence with another newborn.
Yeah, unfortunately, children do that. Probably go right out the window.
not even a newborn now.
Yeah, so I've got a couple of months old, sort of doing some sleeping occasionally. So yeah, time for me to get back involved.
Yeah, so you still didn't get much sleep.
No.
No.
If I get close enough, you can probably see that.
I'm like that without having kids, though. To be fair, so yeah, I'm not going to do close-ups. Don't need that in my life. Thank you very much. But yeah, we'll go straight into it. So, Tabs, what do you make of the lineup for the Ipswich game? Obviously, there is potential for some rotation and trials for the upcoming PSG game, and obviously with Partey being out, there's kind of time to experiment with a little bit of new personnel. What did you make of that?
Yeah, it was a bit stronger than expected. I wasn't expecting Saka to start, but in terms of what he did, particularly with Trossard, Merino, and Rice and Odegaard, I think he's just looking to get the relationships there for PSG because Partey's not going to be there for PSG. So he's thought, okay, he's got to have that in his mind. And so it was a little bit stronger than expected. But other than that, I didn't think MLS or Timber would play, so a chance to get more minutes into White. Zinchenko, look, it's Ipswich away. He's fine. He can play there. So and you're going to always have Saliba and Kivior playing there all the time, just again so they can build a relationship between those two and Raya. So yeah, no, I was pleased with it, and actually, I think he sort of had it in mind that if we go in big, going strong, we'll win the game early, and then we can just take it easy there afterwards. What I found was interesting that it was the first time White, Odegaard, and Saka had started a game together since November, and our right hand side was the dominant side, and it's only I think the 5th time that they've played that way this season or started this season. And then the other thing was that we had Merino, Odegaard, and Rice, and I think we were all expecting that to be the midfield when we signed Merino. So it was sort of some interesting dynamics that we hadn't seen throughout the season suddenly appearing with 5 games to go.
Yeah, Callum, do you think we've missed White? We missed him more than people appreciate.
Yeah, definitely. I think White he's one of those players who's always like 7.5 out of 10. He's not normally kind of the main, the star of the show, but he always puts in a really good performance, and he interchanges really well with Saka and Odegaard. They become like a trio and just bounce off each other. And I think that has been missing. Timber's a great player, but there's just a natural kind of flow with those three together on the pitch. And I think you notice individually, Saka and Odegaard, brilliant players. When the relationships aren't quite there on the pitch, you can see they don't play as well. Still, you can still put in good performances, but you can see the level isn't where we kind of expect it to be. And I think White is a bigger part of that than people will realise or probably give him credit for.
Yeah, I think the inversion from Timber, it kind of takes up some of Odegaard's space. I think that's probably the biggest problem, where White will go on the outside and push Odegaard further infield, and they play the triangles that way. With Timber, they're kind of competing for the same kind of space, sort of thing, aren't they?
Yeah, I think there's definitely Timber does a lot of driving into the spaces that other players want to be in. It's sort of where Saka wants to come inside, sometimes Timber's taking that space, or Timber is, as you say, kind of taken where Odegaard wants to be, and then he maybe drifts further out or just sits on the last man waiting for a pass when it doesn't quite click as well. As I say, Timber's brilliant. I love how confident he is on the ball, and he'll go past a man, and I think it's been fantastic. But White is positionally, I think it flows a lot better naturally with those particular players.
Yeah, he does that overlap thing really well, doesn't he? So he kind of creates the he takes the man out of the space as well, which kind of leaves that opening, doesn't he? So Odegaard can actually work in it. But yeah, we got to see Zinchenko, George, for the first time in quite a while, to start in his actual position, rather than actually in midfield. What did you make of him there?
I think it's like I said, it was Ipswich, so that's the sort of games you want to see him being able to feature in. I don't think he'd really done massive amount wrong. I thought there was a couple of times when he probably could have done a bit better with the ball, but like I said, it was a job done for him. That I wasn't really going forward. I wasn't really worried that much about Ipswich, so Zinchenko didn't worry me as much. I think it's really hard when you're playing someone in like one or two different positions a fair bit, because they don't really have that chance to stay settled in the one position, do they? So, yeah, I think obviously Zinchenko's got that experience. He done what he had to do. It enabled us to rest Lewis Skelly. So yeah, weren't too disappointed, if you know what I mean.
Do you think he'll stay there when he plays with the midfield a little bit and puts Lewis Skelly in there, or what do you think he'll do when it actually comes to the PSG game?
I think seeing Rice and Marino in that midfield, I think we are probably just going to see a midfield of Rice, Marino, and Odegaard, and Lewis Skelly will just play at left back. I wasn't dead against seeing Skelly, because I think naturally he's a midfielder anyway, isn't he? I just worry sometimes with Zinchenko, because we've seen plenty of times he's been caught out against those higher level players. I'm trying to say it without being too disrespectful, but let's say the teams that are lower level in the Premier League, I'd feel a bit more comfortable seeing Zinchenko playing them games than say PSG. I think like coming up, obviously we've got Crystal Palace, we've got Bournemouth. So them and I think we might have Southampton last game of the season. So them games he could feature quite a bit in, but yeah, I wouldn't be playing him against PSG.
Yeah, so we've got Newcastle as well, haven't we? So you wouldn't be playing him in the Newcastle game. You'd be playing him in all the relegation fodder, the mid tables that don't really matter.
It all depends where we're at. Like, because if second is sewn up, and like, do you get what I mean, against Newcastle? I'm not saying it will be, I'm not saying it won't be, but I think you have to just take it in consideration where we're at with the Champions League, because like for a while we've said that's our main priority. But if say we're, for example, I think are we 7 clear?
7 clear now, yeah, with obviously 5 to play.
Yeah, so if we were 7 clear in when that Newcastle game was there, then
6 clear.
Sorry, so if 6 clear, if in that Newcastle, I wouldn't be like dead against seeing him play, if that makes sense. Like, apart from money wise, I think difference between second and third. Like, I don't think there's going to be Arsenal fans here moaning if we finish third but win the Champions League.
I disagree. I think you'll still get people moaning that we've regressed if we finish third rather than second. I think there'll be all kinds of aggro from rival fans, from some of our own fans.
Yeah.
I think there's no way you'll escape the aggravation. If we drop from second, it will be like the world has collapsed, even if it means nothing.
Yeah. No, I do agree. I just think some of our fans like to moan about anything. Like, they'll, even if we win the Champions League and finish second, I still think they'll moan.
Yeah.
They'll
Why
say,
did you win the league as well?
Yeah, do you know what I mean? But I don't know. It's an interesting one. Like, with where you like, say for example, with Zinchenko, I just worry about him, if I'm honest.
I think he's good in games where you can rely on your centre backs to defend. So if you've got Saliba can beat someone in a foot race, or play Zinchenko, he's just like having an extra attacking player. If you think your centre backs are going to struggle, or there might be a little ball in behind that they can't get onto, well, Zinchenko's not going to help that much.
No.
Yeah.
No, I think Zinchenko's job for the rest of this. So I was going to say Zinchenko's job for the rest of the season is just to give players rest. Yeah, he's just coming in and to give players rest. He's not going to be a primary player to deliver something that we don't already have, because even Tierney's going to be ahead of him against the likes of PSG because of the pace that they have. And if we need someone on the left, if anything happens to MLS, I think Tierney comes in over Zinchenko. His job now is to give Odegaard time off, to give MLS time off, to give whoever time off, and because he's off at the end of the season, and so on. I don't see him coming on as a constructive. What I mean, as in, we need Zinchenko in, so other people don't have to be.
Yeah, I agree with that. And then obviously, Tierney is a bit more of a conventional left back. So if the inversion thing isn't working, Tierney can kind of come on and maybe pin back their fullback that's kind of pushing up the field, sort of thing. That's
We've also got Timber that can play on that left side now that Ben White's playing. So.
Yeah, but even still, when Timber plays, he kind of inverts from that side as well. So he doesn't. Well, all I'm saying is not. It's you've got that option of coming in field, but you've got the option of having somebody there that's literally going to stand there and basically pin the winger back, or allow the Martinellis or whatever to pin their fullback back, if you know what I mean. So it's going to be an interesting kind of scenario when we get to that point of how things kind of work. But I think we kind of already know. I think Timber's probably going to get the nod over White as well, and MLS is going to get the nod on the left hand side. So it's going to be a full inversion. With, I guess, Rice will sit in with the 2 centre backs to make it like 3 at the back when it needs to, and just kind of shore it up, which we've seen so many times Partey do as well. So it's we've worked it out by now. We've had plenty of practice of the working that one out, at least, haven't we? So yeah. Well, what would you do? What do you reckon with the actual starting the starting lineup up front? Do you think that worked? Do you think that's that was something that we can take into the PSG game, or again, is it something that's just substituted to basically give a break to basically the front runners?
it's difficult because Trossard is one of those players who, in one game, you think he actually can fill in that position, and then in the next game you think, please move him anywhere else other than in this position.
Or thank God I didn't start him there.
Yeah,
yeah.
So it's hard. He did well against Ipswich. Is that I'd rather if there was a different dynamic in midfield, but again, I don't think there's any real other option in midfield. I don't think Lewis Skelly is going to play in midfield in a game like that. I don't think Zinchenko is going to play in midfield in a game like that. Jorginho's injured, Partey suspended. I don't see there's any option other than to drop Merino into midfield and just risk that we're slightly less effective up front, which is crazy to say because I'm basically saying Merino's our best striker and what makes us effective at attacking. But
well, he is.
He is. So, that's it. I can't really see how we can do anything else. So we just need to hope that Trossard is sort of up for it.
Yeah. So they're the backup plan. But do you think that in the Palace game we try something else anyway, purely to go? If the worst case happens, that you've basically tried it out and you've given a little bit of playing time to that kind of situation, and you're not completely left caught on the hop.
I don't think he would do anything that he hasn't done before. So it's all about minutes. I don't think it'll be about changing formations or style. So, you'll bring Nwaneri on for Saka on the right, Sterling on the left for Martinelli, and it's just about minutes. So I don't think he's going to change anything in terms of formation or anything like that. Yeah. Worst case scenario in the game, something happens to Trossard or something happens to Merino, then you have to think a bit on the fly what you have to do. But I don't think he's going to be catastrophizing and then planning for that situation. I'm sure he'll have it in a portfolio somewhere, but I can't imagine him doing anything that different, and it'll just be a case of who's next man up. He's a very next man up type of guy. I don't think he wants to change too much because it's a bit like when you put Partey right back. It's not the fact that you lose him, it's the fact that you lose him from midfield as well as put him at right back. So I think he tries to keep things as stable as possible. And in terms of Trossard up front, yeah, it's look, if you looked at the way they played and all the rest of it, actually the most furthest forward player against Ipswich, I think it was either Saka or Martinelli. What's happening is Trossard and Merino are sort of dropping into midfield, and you sort of got 4 or 5 in the midfield, and then you've got Saka sort of coming in from the right, being quite far forward, and then you've got Martinelli on the left again, driving forward. So, and
nope, you froze up.
It's all very interchangeable. Merino goes. Trossard picks up the second ball. So I think it's more about the shadens. It's just how the interplay and how they work together. And I think that's more about what he'll try and figure out as opposed to, I need the centre forward here, or I need this there and the other.
Yeah, it's a bit weird with the old Merino thing, because obviously when he plays in midfield, it's almost like he's getting into the box. And when he plays a striker, he's trying to get out of the box and trying to draw everybody out so that others can get in the box. It's a kind of a weird scenario, isn't it? Because it's kind of not what you see from a conventional kind of striker position. It's so everybody's screaming out saying we need a striker. But are they going to do the same job that Arteta wants him to do?
We just play differently.
It's definitely interesting seeing the way he plays, because if you look, like, he scored the goal against Madrid from outside the box, and that's when he's playing as a striker. And when he's playing as a midfielder, he had the assist for Martinelli from the 6-yard box or something. Like he makes those runs as a midfielder into the aggressive areas. And
that's what I'm saying. It's almost like a full reverse of the conventional kind of position. So basically, the striker is kind of drawing everybody out, which kind of we've seen with Havertz, but he hangs it right on the touchline when he does that. When you look at it when he's in midfield, he's almost drawing himself and others into the actual box. So it's a bit mad. It's like a whole role reversal that you're kind of looking at it going, is having an actual number 9 going to hinder this?
Well, we don't play with a convention. Okay, the thing is, when he does that, we do sometimes then lack one player in the box who's just there to finish the ball when the ball drops. So sometimes that is visible when the runners aren't there or people aren't crashing the box. The thing is, it's going to be horses for courses. And what we need is a centre forward, a flat track bully who's just going to put goals away against the teams with a low block, who are just going to sit back, and we just need someone there to just put those goals away. So the games that we've drawn this year, and so on, we need someone there. And then it's just a case we will play horses for courses. Different games will require different sort of models. You might not need that sort of centre forward presence in the box, just occupying the centre backs. What we did the other week was far better and far effective, and we beat Real Madrid 5-1 over 2 legs.
Yeah.
So I think he wants options. Arteta is very big on players who can play multiple positions, do multiple things, and multiple options that he can either change in game by game, or whatever. So the more options we have, the harder we are to beat.
Yeah, for sure. I completely agree with that. But yeah, it's a little bit weird because it's like it's kind of ad hoc, and it's like, well, we kind of play it all in reverse. But there we go. So that's yeah, it's a bit mad. We got a question for.
But it's working at the
Yes,
moment.
well, exactly. Yeah, but obviously we played Ipswich and whatnot, and obviously it's worked against other opponents and such like as well. We've got a question for George. How does it feel being a Sky Sports legend? It's Ian from Arse Cannon Picks.
Cheers for that, Ian. I wouldn't say legend, but yeah, I'm better than
Celebrity.
Gary Neville.
Let's go with celebrity.
Yeah. So I'm better than Gary Neville, mate. So
I mean,
Not difficult.
that's not having standards, mate.
Who isn't?
That's
That's
when
my bar, mate.
we pitched up a standard FC, you don't need to pitch your flag post to Gary Neville, mate. That's go for somebody with a bit more of a rich kind of background, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, what was your thoughts on the challenge by Leif Davies on Saka, George? What were you thinking there?
I just thought it was quite lazy. There was no need really to do it. I thought as soon as I was listening to it on the radio, I thought as soon as that happened, I thought that's got to be a red. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really care about Davis at the moment. I was more thinking that Saka was all right. I just think in a game, obviously I get in football, it happens. People make tackles, whether it's meant or not. I'm not here to say that. Whether it is, that's the only person who knows that is the player who's made the foul. I just think the fans' reaction to it was more what angered me more. That they were booing and basically abusing him for going down in a tackle that could have. I don't know if you guys agree, but it could have ended his season. I think he was lucky that he didn't get away, that he got away with not having that much more damage to an injury. I know he had an ice pack on, but I think he's okay. But I just thought it was just no need. It reminded me of scary past memories of Diaby and Ramsey and some of those players. When they got injured
the Ramsey
in them
kind
games.
of, the Ramsey kind of reared its head with me, but that was more because of what, like you say, with the reaction of the fans.
Yeah,
it was like Stoke were back.
Say again.
It was like Stoke were back.
Yeah, pretty much, and it was just like, well,
yeah, Stoke light.
Yeah, Stoke light.
Yeah.
Diet.
It doesn't matter how light it is, does it? At the end of the day, it could put him out for the end of the season. That could end our Champions League hopes. And yeah, when we've just got him back as well, we don't need to be seeing that, do we?
No.
He knows he's not going to get the ball. He can see he's not going to get the ball. It's not like, I've just missed him. He's coming in from behind. He's a mile away from the ball, and it's just a awful. Like you say, it's a lazy challenge where he just thinks, I'll just leave one on him. It's fine. I'll leave one on him. hopefully next time he doesn't, make me look like an idiot. But it's just
Like you said before, Callum, it weren't the first thing he done though, was it? Like he done something on Trossard and Odegaard. So
yeah, it was like the third one of the game, and it's like dinosaur football. Like no need for it.
no.
Yeah, I don't know if he was looking for a ticket out of there or if he was
Enough.
he just had enough, and he just like, can you vacate me for the season now? So because obviously he's going to be out. He's actually out for 3 games, isn't he? Because that's violent conduct.
Yeah.
So,
But then they say, "Oh, he's not that type of player." Well, he obviously.
well, this is the other thing I was going to
No,
go.
I
to.
hate that.
That's
I
my
hate
biggest
that.
bugbear when someone says that.
Oh.
I'm like, all right.
Yeah, I mean, on
What do you mean he's not that type of
on
player?
Ref Watch, they're
He
going
just
out.
did it. He is that type
Well,
of
he's done
player
it,
because
hasn't
it's
he?
the evidence is there, and he
He's
got sent
literally
off for
done
it.
it. So and then I posted something on X or whatever you want to call it, and he said, well, you don't know his mindset. I said, well, I didn't predict what his mindset was. I just looked what he did.
Yeah.
So you're having a go at me for having a go at them when they're trying to predict what his mindset is, and I just saw what the challenge is. So
yeah. And I saw people trying to compare it to Lewis Skelly, saying, "Oh, look, but what about the Lewis Skelly one?" You go, "Yeah, but he almost gets the ball, and he just catches him on the shin from. He's not
you did what?
trying to go through the player. It's like such a different, but it's an immediate. Oh yeah, well your players do it too. No, they don't. Not like that.
No, they don't. No, they don't. No, they
Definitely
don't. No. And our red cards, we're dirty. We're a dirty team. Our red cards are for tapping the ball away twice and
having a tangle on the halfway line.
having a conventional
taking
trick that
And
everybody
taking
else.
a quick throw in when Martinelli got sent off against Wolves, wasn't it, or something? Like,
Oh yeah, one of the worst.
Stopping the throw in, yeah, and then running up and pushing him over.
Yeah.
So both tactical fouls, and if you hadn't let play go on in the first place, you'd have just given me a yellow card, wouldn't you?
Mm.
So there you go. Ian's message back, George, and he said Neville hasn't got a patch on you, George.
Cheers, mate.
And
Appreciate
he
that.
said, I have another question. Is it true that you have to be incredibly handsome to be allowed on the Grove podcast?
Ignore the rest of Ian's comments now. Actually, Ian, that's why you've not been on for the last few episodes. There you go.
Ah, yeah. So you calling him out for not being handsome enough?
Get that regime in on the summer, Ian. You'll be fine, mate.
It was because he didn't like being ignored. He put it twice. More or less, anyway. Are you welcome on here anytime you'd like, Ian, as well? You don't have to hide. I know you're taking a break, so it's all good. I was just joking. Yeah. So when it comes to the Palace game, then, so obviously it was quite an easy kind of stroll in the park in the end. Do we play the same lineup as we played, or does Partey play? Because obviously he can't play in the PSG game anyway. What are you doing for that, Tabs?
I think you start.
Sorry, I missed that because I'm trying to mess around with my camera. What was that? What am I doing for Palace? The team.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
It's going to be 60-30, as in it's whether he gives the same team for Ipswich 60 minutes and then take him off the required changes at 30, or he goes in light and then brings on the guys just to have a 30-minute training session, bit of a run around. It's going to be the most non-contact game of football I think that's ever going to exist.
Yeah, players
because
pulling out of
Palace are so focused on the FA Cup. Yeah, we're focused on PSG. It's just going to be you have the ball. No, you have the ball. Okay, it's just going to be such a non-event.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be something like that, isn't it? I likened it to it's kind of going to be rotation central. So yeah, it's supposed to be a London derby, but it won't be played like a London derby. It'll be the London rotation derby.
I can just imagine if the ball goes out for throwing, they're going to be like, no, I can't.
Just leave it there for 10 minutes. It'll be all right.
Leave it on the floor.
Or someone's going to lay on the ball in the corner.
Yeah,
We're
you're just like, oh God, do we have to go and fetch the ball? Do we have to? Like it's some kind of training session that's all gone wrong. Like it's probably going to be the most placid London derby that's ever
I'd be
existed.
shocked if they play their first 11. Right, I would be shocked.
I can't. Mateta ain't playing anyway, is he?
No, like if they play like Eze, Mateta, and Sarr and all them, I'd be really, really surprised.
Yeah, no way they're going to play. But
they'll get some minutes, but it's just again, it's going to be training session minutes. It's just going to keep the legs ticking over, and nothing else. I think he has to respect the away fans, respect the occasion, but everyone's just going to be just sort of the intensity is going to be very low.
Yeah. It's definitely going to
be Eddie.
Say again.
Well, I said we'll probably see Eddie up front for them.
So, yeah, I mean he might have a point to prove, but he might be losing.
Who fancies putting themselves in the window to play one of those games? So one of the rotation players might put in a decent shift. You might see a backup player come in and really give it their all, thinking, either I want to be playing in the FA Cup, I want to be playing in the Champions League. So you get the odd player who's thinking I might not otherwise play. Is there an opportunity for me to make sure I get some minutes in that game? But other than that, it's just going to be a bit of a non-event, I think. I can't imagine anyone really cares that much. Like we could do with the points to just nice and early get that second place tied up, but I just don't think anyone's going to be that bothered what happens in this game, to be honest.
Yeah. No, the thing is, we've got easier fixtures as well, haven't we? So it's kind of, it would be a bottling now, as much as bottling second is a bottle, but it would be a bottling if we didn't finish second now, in my opinion, anyway. I don't know about you guys, whether you guys feel like that.
I think we have to hold second place. I know like certain games, I think have don't have a lot of importance, but the overall picture of we have to finish second, I think that helps keep the project on track. Second place is our floor. Rather than saying that's our ceiling, well, second place should be our floor. That should be where we start, and we're pushing to first. We're pushing for the trophies. We're doing that. That has to remain our level. I think if the guys can't kind of get themselves hyped up enough to get over the line when you're 6 points clear with a handful of games to go, then there's a mentality issue. So I think we should be holding second.
It could slightly affect the transfer window a little bit if you go from second to third, because I'm not saying that it would drastically change it, but you could change it that, like, if you're trying to get these big name players to come in, they want to be finishing second, like going for that title, don't they? Not. I don't know. I know it's
I'm not sure about that, to be honest. I mean, most players will want Champions League football, and they'll see the caveat of what's gone before, won't they? So they'll see that you're rotating your squad. You're basically making sure that that you finish in that second spot, or that you're at least getting through the qualifying the next stages of the Champions League rather than league position, aren't
you? No, I mean I think we should finish second. I'd like to finish second. I think the narrative, if we drop to third, everyone ignores context and they'll just see third, but not at the expense of the Champions League. Champions League's got to be all in on that. So I think if we win the Champions League and finish third, I don't think too many people are going to be complaining, and they'll forget about that. But no, I think we should try and finish as high as possible. I think we've got matches like Palace, Bournemouth and Southampton, to get sufficient points. The other teams around us, I think Man City have, by the way, just gone 1-0 up. The other teams around us, I think they're playing each other, so they'll take points off each other. So yeah, I think you're right. I don't think it's going to have a knock-on effect elsewhere, but I think it's just good for the narrative and good for us if we finish as high as possible. Why wouldn't you want to finish as high as possible? A lot of people don't care, but I think, like all of us here, I think we do care, but not at all costs.
Yeah, exactly. I care about it, but I don't care about it in the same sense. Obviously, if it's a choice between going through to the final of the Champions League, then I don't care about it. If we can do both, then obviously that's where I want to be, because I do think that we should have pushed harder for the league, but I think we were kind of hamstrung slightly by the board's movements and such like in the transfer windows.
Yes, and I think that's an interesting point. That I still don't think, and it's shown the last couple of years, we're a team that can fight on multiple fronts at the moment. I think that's going to be the challenge for next year, because I think had we pushed harder or done more in the league, again, we can have the arguments about getting someone in, in the windows, and the transfer strategy has let us down a bit. But even then, would we still be a team that would be able to fight for the Champions League and fight for the league? I don't think we still have the sufficient squad to do that. But also the fact that we've had ridiculous injuries this year and other contexts that have also held us back. So it's I think that's a step up for next year, and that's maybe part of why he's maybe going strong this year, just to instill that. Imagine we had to go to Ipswich to get 3 points to stay. Imagine we had to play Palace and to get 3 points to stay top of the league. Oh, and you've got a Champions League game against PSG in the next week. So I think this is very, very much what Arteta's like. He doesn't like to give excuses, doesn't want to give people the chance to, like you said to Saka when he started to sort of maybe complain a bit when he was getting kicked. That's what happens. You get kicked, the best players get kicked, you get up, you keep playing. And I think he's trying to instill that mentality into the team to sort of, so we do in the future fight on all fronts, and we're not going to feel sorry for ourselves because we've got too many games. And then, but you're right, then we need the board to back that up, so we do have the squad to support it.
Yeah, I do think as well that that obviously when we've been in certain situations, we've kind of floundered a little bit. We haven't been strong enough in challenges and such like in many instances. But I don't think that's something that can actually be leveled at us this year. I think we've been much stronger, a bit more physical, more aggressive. I think we probably just need to be a bit more clever about things going forwards. Obviously the little kick outs and the flick outs and such like, we just need to get rid of those. But yeah, I still haven't seen those really imposed on anybody else as such. But
well, those rules just basically stopped existing after the first handful of games. They sent off a load of our players, and then they went, we don't really like these rules. They're a bit rubbish. Let's just not do that for the rest of the season.
Yeah,
it was only Arsenal that got their season ruined by it. We'll just, pretend it never happened and move on.
Yeah, and the other one was obviously the last man thing with Saliba, where Mr. Webb was in the stands, and Saliba got sent off. And there was another one the other day, and it's a stone cold sending off, and he didn't get sent off for it. He just like, well, why is it sending off for one and not for the other? So I don't think there's an agenda as such. I just think that they trialed it on us and they and it failed and they put it in the bin. And
I think after they gave us one and we moaned, they went, well, next time you do it, we're definitely going to send off your player just to make a point, just to show you we're not going to kowtow to one. One team come out and say, oh, we don't like it, you're doing this wrong. They go, all right, well, do it again and see what we do. And they did. They sent off Trossard, kicking the ball like that. And it felt like one of those, like, I feel like the PGMOL are on a power trip all the time. Like, it's all about protecting themselves, making sure they don't look like they made mistakes, making sure, and that goes through to when they do their appearances on Sky. You have, Ref Watch. Well, Ref Watch is just go on there and try to make it look like the ref was okay.
I reckon they're still on the payroll, mate. They must be.
They must be. It's ridiculous. They go on there. And there's decisions that obviously have been got wrong, and they stand there and go, "Oh no, well I can see why they did that because there's this weird, slightly outlandish explanation that could possibly mean that maybe he thought that. So we're going to say that's okay." And I agree with it. It's not everyone seen this happen. We all know it's incorrect. You're just there to support your old buddies, but also VAR is just there to support the on-field decisions most of the time. Occasionally they'll kind of change things up, but a lot of the time they're just there going, "Oh, is that a bit harsh on the ref on the field? We don't want to, we don't want to make him look bad. Let's not." And it just feels like the whole setup is around protecting the referees and not being good referees.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that they should swap associations. You know, I think that the Serie A association should monitor the Premier League, for example. The Premier League should monitor La Liga, and all the way around, and just kind of flip it because they're all in the studio anyway, aren't they? They're not actually on site,
Yeah.
so they're in
Yeah.
a studio and they're basically just looking over it. So I think that's what should happen. They should literally just watch over different associations, so they're not their mates. They're not, because I hate this as well. Oh, Daz, you know, all right, mate, he's gone down there, Daz, you know, all right, yeah, see you in the pub later, Daz, you
Yeah.
know, you know, all that crap. It's just like, seriously, man, come on, you know, call him by his actual name. You know, nobody's asking you to call him Mr. Bloody Brightside, whatever his name is. Just call him by his full name. At least make it sound with some kind of official nature than your mate down the pub.
Yeah.
It just baffles me, really.
Even
I
though
like that idea of having foreign officials do the VAR.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's brilliant.
I'm here all week. I mean, just so you know, flash of lightning to the brain. But yeah, it's something I thought of a couple of weeks ago. To be fair, well, a couple of months ago probably. But yeah, it does make more sense, doesn't it, to do that rather than people from the same association monitoring themselves, because basically they're refereeing the referee, aren't they?
Yeah.
And if they were from a different association, they wouldn't necessarily have the same kind of attachment.
It would also mean if you've got a referee that does have an unconscious bias or a very conscious one, I'll leave that up to what anyone thinks, for a particular team or for a particular result. If the VAR have no allegiance to any team in the league at all, they're not going to have that clouded kind of judgment.
Yeah.
I think, you know, there's a lot of referees from the Northwest that must have an unconscious impact on decisions, whether they know it or not. There's no way that many of them can be from growing up around certain teams and that not impact their thought process. And so I think if you had foreign VAR officials, that would at least have a cap on that bias, because they'd go, you've got that one a bit wrong. Let's, you know.
Yeah, we'd at least even it out, because obviously the Champions League officials seem to not care, do they? Because they're just thrown together.
Yeah.
They don't care if they send them to the monitor, do they?
Yeah, they do all the time. They're like, go and have a look at that. What are you doing?
Yeah, what the hell are you doing there? You know, you've come up with a cropper there, mate. Go and have a look.
Well, you see it in the Real Madrid game, like that Mbappe one. Like, if that was in the Premier League, I think that gets given. I don't think they look at that.
Oh,
Well,
it
the
definitely
thing
is
is-
given in the Premier League. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not overturned, is it?
No.
Not a chance that's overturned.
And I don't think
ever.
they give the penalty that Saka missed either.
I'm not sure about that, to be honest.
I just don't trust the
No, I don't particularly trust them either. But I mean, again, it's another one of those, isn't it? If it's given, finding something to overturn it, because he did drag him back.
Yeah.
Marino. But they've got to find a very good reason, haven't they, to overturn it? And he's got an handful of shirt, and he's pulled him down.
That Mbappe one, they definitely don't overturn that. They definitely.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Even though it was blatant
so
dive.
dramatic as well,
Actually, wasn't it the Everton? Was it the Everton one where Ashley Young went over and they got a handful of shit against Man United, wasn't it? Where he was basically sent over, but I think Maguire got his shirt twice, and he still went over forwards, and they overturned it because they went, well, what he did with his shirt didn't cause the action that he did. He basically dove. So maybe it happens with certain teams, but not with others.
That's very diplomatic of you, Smell.
Well, I'm trying not to come across as kind of
Get the tinfoil hat on.
tinfoil hat brigade. You know what I mean? I'm trying to kind of pin it down a little bit. But yeah, I think that could kind of work. But yeah, I agree that the Mbappe thing that definitely doesn't get overturned.
But even that makes me laugh. So it ain't just people like Leif Davis, like that Mbappe foul that he done before the second leg in the La Liga. That was disgusting as well. But
do you know it got reduced? His ban got reduced. You know
are you
that?
serious? No, I didn't even.
Yeah.
Okay,
It was supposed to be 3 games and it got reduced to 1.
Okay.
That just shows the power that Madrid have, though, doesn't it? Because that was just awful.
Yeah,
it was shocking. It literally, foot was planted as well.
Yeah,
and it could have broke his leg quite easily.
I reckon he'd done it on purpose so he didn't have to play the rest of the game.
Yeah, needed a rest.
Ancelotti said, "Don't worry, just do that.
Just do that, mate. You'll be out."
Yeah.
Guys, if you're in here, please make sure you're liking and subscribing to the channel and sharing out the live. That'd be much appreciated. Thank you very much indeed.
I did like that they brought that Nathan Butler Adeji on against Ipswich, though. I did. That it was nice to for him because he's been on the bench for quite a long time, hasn't he?
Yeah,
so he's been exposed. I'm not saying I don't know. I'm not saying he'll be a regular Premier League player for Arsenal, but I just thought it was nice to expose him to that Premier League football.
Yeah, he's had a couple of moments where where they could potentially have brought him on, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And they brought him on in the cup game, but yeah, obviously that's a Premier League debut, I believe.
He played in Champions League, didn't he? Or Europa League or something like that.
Did he play against
It
Girona?
was the Zagreb game. I think it was Zagreb, and he was waiting.
Yeah.
And waiting for ages, and he came on for 30 seconds when he was waiting for that. The ball just didn't go out,
Yeah.
and so he never touched the ball. He never touched the ball then, and he only had 1 touch in 10 minutes against Ipswich, and that was the one he almost scored with. And it's amazing. You think, oh, he gets on for 10, 12 minutes, he's going to have a few touches. 1 touch, that was the shot, and that was it. So it's nuts.
Yeah, it was a decent shot. He forced a save, didn't it,
Yeah.
out of the keeper? So yeah, it was.
If he played for Chelsea, that'd be enough to get him like a 25, 30 million pound price tag in the summer.
Yeah, really.
I mean, maybe we should take tips on that, and actually sell him for 25, 30 million. But I mean, I'd argue that they've got something set up in the background that forces that kind of thing. But that's another conspiracy theory for another day, I think.
Sparks' corner.
Well, I mean, it's a bit weird, isn't it, that they kind of. There was one that played about 12 minutes of football. They paid like 650,000 for him and sold him for 18 million or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
You're like, there's something not adding up here. But yeah, when you see our players going out on loan and you're going, well, he's got a release, he's got an obligation to buy, and it's like 5 million euros or something.
Yeah.
You're like, he's not even played, and he's got 12 million. How is he only going for 5? It seems a bit odd, but there you go. Do you play Sterling against Palace?
No. So,
Go on, why not? Come on.
I'd rather play Callum instead of that. I just on paper, when we bought Raheem Sterling in at the start, I thought, oh, maybe it's a shrewd signing, maybe. And then I drastically changed my thinking on that. I just don't think he's any good. Like, being honest, I just don't.
The footballer's left him, is what you're saying.
Yeah. It's a shame because Arsenal was probably a good opportunity for him to still prove a point. He obviously, with the injuries what we had, he could have had like a good amount of time to feature. I think you only play Sterling if you're going to rest quite a few players. Like, I think the weirdest front line I've seen for a long, long time was that front three I saw at Ipswich when it was Wanyeri, Nathan Butler, and Sterling as a front three. It was like, that's not even that. It was like the old good Carling Cup days. Just like,
yeah, it wasn't even as good as that, was it? Really?
Yeah, no, probably not.
It was
but no, I don't know. He's
Yeah.
just not done nothing for me, like to warrant even getting some minutes. I'd rather see Nwaneri play.
Well, no, but Nwaneri would most
Yeah.
probably play on the right and Sterling on the left. So again,
Yeah.
he's like
exactly.
Zinchenko. He's just giving other players a rest. That's all
That's
he is.
exactly
You're not
all
bringing him
I
on
was
to
putting
impact
it
the
out
game.
But I
there.
think it says it all when you see Arteta brings Kieran Tierney on at left wing at one stage ahead of Sterling in the past. I think.
Yeah, but I think
that's
he
when
just
it's important.
Yeah.
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 I think that was when he had a knock coming back from some injury as well. To be fair to him,
Yeah. I'm just
But-
not for me.
No, I think with Sterling, I think where he might have helped. Okay, look, cost wise, he's replaced Reece Nelson. So 100 grand for basically it was zero sum sort of. Yeah, he was basically brought in and yeah, he's basically taken the minutes that Nelson would have had, and those would have been very few and far between. So yeah, you're right. I think it was a bit desperate on the last day. We wanted something from him. It did look good on paper, but unfortunately not so good on grass. And but then I think he may have had a good influence in the background, on the training ground, on the likes of Nwaneri. So even though he may not be on the pitch, I think behind the scenes there's talk about that, chatting to them, these youngsters, how to get through the game and his experiences that he's lived with. So I think he may have had some benefit from there that we may not have seen, instead. So I think he's maybe done some good there. And then what's happened is that the goals that we maybe expected from Sterling, Nwaneri's got. So if you'd have said Sterling scored, that's about right. That's what you'd maybe expect. Well, Nwaneri's the one who's taken those. So yeah, I think we would all liked it to work. And there's a really interesting discussion around and the reason why he's fallen off such a cliff. He's only 30, 31 when there's still players 34, 35 going stronger. Is this whole thing about 500 games. And then once you've reached 500 games, your body just goes off a cliff. So it's not really about age. It's about how many games you've played. And he played from a very young age.
Yeah.
And he was getting kicked left, right, and centre in that. And he played for England, played for Liverpool, played for Chelsea. But I think it's Jonathan Williams from the Observer or the Guardian, whatever. It's just done an article about it, and it's just literally when he went over 500 or thereabouts, it was just the decline was instant. And I think that's maybe we were hoping something was still there. Arteta worked with him. Maybe we'll get something out of him. But I think the best we can get out of him is can you make sure he doesn't play and you take the kicks?
I think we thought he was going to come in and be a bit like a Trossard, like a good quality backup who could come in and could kind of play. And he's ended up being like a back end of his career, Jorginho, where he's good around the young players and off the pitch. But very rarely do you actually want him on the pitch to occasionally step in those games where people are having a rest and your main backups aren't available and you kind of go, okay, look, put him in. It's just been a very different role, I think, than what, as fans, we thought he was maybe going to do. And it just showed up that we had a real need to get a proper player in, I think. I think it shows that in the summer we need to get it right and get that player that we maybe failed to get and resorted to Sterling. This year we need to get that player in properly.
Yeah, he definitely showed up a bit of inadequacies from Edu's point of view. I don't know if you've seen the interview, but he basically did an interview with saying that the Sterling transfer was a great bit of business. It was this, that, and the other. He filled a hole and he did this, that, and the other. And you were like, well, yeah, fair enough. But why were we left in that hole in the first place? And that's kind of my point with it. It's just like, well, you know, obviously you haven't been good enough at your job because we wouldn't needed him, would we?
It depends who it's a great bit of business for. That's the question. So when he says that, his paymasters might be saying, perfect, thank you. We're not losing out here. You've got a player in. Hopefully he works out and we'll see what happens. So it is I guess it's all based on perspective and
well, I think we'll see in the summer whether that's the case or not, because
to be honest with you, I don't think we will.
Well, I think we will, because if they they've got Berta in, they've got someone who's an experienced sporting director who knows what he's doing. If they now don't go and get those players, there wasn't the right player, then we hear the same kind of stuff. Well, then there's a question to be had around whether or not they're just happy to be getting the money. And if we compete, brilliant. And if we don't, that's fine.
I agree with that way around.
And just
I
happy
think that becomes
Champions
obvious depending
League.
on what they do this summer.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that way around. But obviously, if we do actually spend, then it doesn't show anything at all, does it? Because obviously, they've changed the sport.
Do was rubbish.
It doesn't answer any questions, does it? It just answers everything going forwards. It doesn't answer anything going from where we were.
But
I mean,
that could be
honest with you,
financial constraint. There's a lot of stuff that we don't know behind the scenes, potential financial constraints that we're having to deal with, money coming in, going out, and stuff like that. So yes, it's not our money, but they're the ones, and they've got their strategies and their plans, and they think, okay, this is what Arteta wants. This is what he wants to get, and we'll do that. And unfortunately, we got to cut our cloth accordingly. So we as fans may not like the decisions that they've made, but I'm sure there's good reason for it, and they make calculated risks, and some of those risks sometimes pay out, and some of those don't. And even like in the winter sort of transfer window, I wasn't all for just getting a body in, because again, we've seen what happens when you just get bodies in. I mean, well, even just look at Man United when they spent 80 million on Højlund and whatever on Xerxes, and look how they've turned out. So yeah, sometimes you've got to play the longer game and think about that. So again, it's really bizarre. Football's such a short-term game, but also has to be planned long-term, and it's really hard to balance, and it's hard. And I'm not trying to defend them, but I am also a bit, whereas there's so many things going on. It may not be Nedu's fault. It may be Josh and whoever saying, you're just going to have to make the best with this, and you're going to be the front man. So sorry, you're also going to take the hit, and that's why we're paying you $500,000 a year.
I do agree with that. Like with the transfer, like how one can work and how one doesn't. Like you think, obviously, we were linked with Rafinha. He's doing really, really well at Barca, but then we was also linked with Mudryk. So
yeah,
like there's the balance, like how one can, if you get that one person, how that changes you, or you can make that sort of escape. I think if they spend money,
and they've been
summer, that does. I think if they spend money in the summer, I think that does show for me.
Yeah,
I think it actually shows a change of direction rather than anything else. But obviously, what Tabs is saying, obviously we don't know what the money constraints are, but that's assuming that they're money constraints rather than there are money constraints, because we don't know.
What I would say is we will be at our highest revenue ever as a club, and will have already overtaken lots of our rivals, and will be even further ahead than some others based on their performance this year versus ours, especially with how well we're doing in the Champions League. Our percentage of wages to turnover will be even better than it is, because our revenue will be up again, and potentially some of our high earners will move on. So there will, on the face of it, definitely be space for some proper spending this summer. Whether that's what we would like to see as fans and big crazy sums or not, on face value, we should be able to spend. And if it was one of the other clubs going for the league, you would expect them to spend at this point. And I think we have to have that same idea as Arsenal and think, no, this is when we should be spending. If we're getting to a point where we're going, we think we're going to be in a Champions League final. I mean, hopefully we win the Champions League, but if we're going to be right at the top with the Champions League, we're in second in the league, and then we're all of a sudden in the best financial position we've had in a couple of decades, we've got to be willing to go, now's the time to take the risk. Now's the time to take that step and actually win something. Yeah. And if you don't do it now, you don't have that ambition. You are happy to. And if that's who you are as owners, that's who you are as owners. You're going, actually, we'll take the risk that maybe we do win it, because we've got a pretty good squad. We are there or thereabouts. So let's just kind of hope that the manager's good enough and a couple of these smaller signings come off and work and we win it. Or you go, now's our moment. Let's really go for it. And I think we'll see what kind of owners do we have. They've got everything in place. The sporting director's there. The manager with a settled squad is there. Most of a squad that's ready to win a title is there. It's almost like that Arsene Wenger period again. Oh, we're just one or two players away.
Yeah.
There. And back then, we know what kind of owners we had. Are they different now?
But the thing is, I think just back to the transfers over the summer and whatever. Take away the injuries this year, I think we win the league. We're the best team. We finished off the best team last season. I think we were better than City. We just didn't happen. We would have done better than Liverpool this year. So actually, our team was good enough. Our squad was good enough to win the league this year. Situations contrived against us, whatever it was. We've talked about those hundreds of times. Everything was a bed of roses for Liverpool, and good luck to them. And that's just the way football works. So I think sometimes when we talk about the transfer strategy, it's also a bit in hindsight looking at it now. Yes, I think again, but this is my point about playing on two fronts. I think we had the best team to win the league. Whether we would have been the best team to win the league and compete in the Champions League, then that's different, and that's maybe where a striker comes in and where we need that extra firepower, because that's what cost us against Bayern, was that lack of firepower, that lack of freshness up front. And the American owners thing is interesting because they're in it for the money. And if they see us finishing top four, getting Champions League, year in, year out, getting the revenues in, why are they going to spend an extra 100 million, 200 million for what? They're not going to get a return on their investment, because you don't get 200, 100 million back,
Well,
for
say
that.
that.
So
I think you do.
You say that now,
they're-
you do, because the Club World Cup, the money for being in it for each team is about 100 million.
Do you want to be in it? Do you want to be in that?
Well,
Well,
if you want to be the top club, you have to be in the competitions that pay you the most money. That's the reality of football
Wow.
now.
It's
So,
either that or the
maybe there's
Super
that
League, isn't it?
like so you spend that 100 million, get the striker, win the Champions League,
Yeah.
get 100 million for being in the Club World Cup.
Yeah.
Money paid
Yeah,
off.
maybe.
The
Okay.
broadcasting
Yeah.
revenue's higher. You can
I
charge
think
more
winning.
tickets
If you're
than they already
winning
do.
the league as well.
Commercial
Yeah,
revenue.
I guess that does
everything.
change it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
but
if you
also
look
the
at
way I
winning, isn't it?
Go on.
sorry.
Winning basically
no,
creates
what-
winning. So it's basically,
Yeah.
you know, obviously you spend money, you're creating revenue, you're basically creating more commercial deals.
But-
And if you're in
But are
more
you
tournaments
getting
and
enough
stuff like,
back? Are you getting enough return on your investment?
well,
That's
the thing
the
is that
thing.
they're
So
making it so that you are, aren't they? Because they just want
Yeah.
more and more and more games. So they're making it more and more worthwhile. So
Yeah,
it
makes me a bit
is
sick.
it is it like
more
a?
games,
It's probably
football.
more like a European Super League than anything else, anyway. And it's basically it's scratching an itch, isn't it? Because obviously the big teams that want to break away want the extra revenue, but the extra revenue is there in the Club World Cup,
Yeah.
so that
And
they're
I hate
keeping
the fact
everything
that
together.
I hate the fact that it's the Club World Cup is the reason, but and it's like it makes me a bit ill that that's our target. I said, really? Are we now succumbing to that? And look, it's football and it's the way it works, and it's just I just don't. I'm not. That doesn't sit right with me, but it's just the way it goes, because I'm totally anti the Infantino Club
And
World
it's
Cup
one of those
bullshit.
where if a couple of the teams in your league are good enough to win the Champions League within that 4-year period, you can quite easily find yourself struggling to then compete at the top unless you are getting some outside investment in. And you'll also find that very quickly those teams are able to do the better commercial deals because they've got the bigger coverage. They're seen as the elite teams. And although we're doing amazingly on the revenue front, really pushing up, like within a few years, we've almost doubled our revenue. Like it's really, the way we're run is very good. Like we've done fantastically to get to the point we're at, but there's still like a huge jump up to the top couple of teams from where we are sitting in 7th or something to the top 1 or 2. There's still hundreds of millions of gap to be filled there. Now that is filled by consistently winning. You consistently win, you consistently have the broadcast money, you consistently have the prize money, and the deals you get are much bigger. And that's that gap that you kind of go, do you spend that money to try and be one of those teams? Or do you go, actually, being in the top 5, 6, 7, 8 is pretty good for us. We get a good return on our money, and we can kind of just be happy with that.
Well, my theory on that is because they're American owners. In America, getting into the playoffs is a big thing. So not winning. So if you get like American football or even the NBA, you get to the playoffs in American football. That is brilliant, and your season has been a success. Now, one team can only win that one tournament, and so on. So I'm just thinking, do the American owners see the top 4 getting Champions League as getting is to get to the playoffs and then see what happens? The objective is to get top 4, and it's only the teams that then go, that then sort of maybe do spend that extra money. So I know I don't think that will be what happens, but it's just a slight theory of mine in the way the American owners are, where they think differently to fans.
I think that's where they were. I do think that's where they were, but I think that now it's kind of got to the point where the revenue has actually increased enough for it to make it viable, and they've kind of gone, well, I mean, fans have had a voice as well to a point, not that they really care, but whether that's made any impact whatsoever, I don't know. But
they have put pressure on themselves, because as soon as we didn't spend anything in January, they essentially put out the word to a lot of Arsenal journalists that we've not done this because of the bigger picture. This could have impacted our summer plans. Getting a striker in now that we could have got might have stopped us getting that super striker. That they were very quick to get that kind of noise out there, and they've gone right. We in the summer didn't spend a lot in the grand scheme of things. The net spend was very small. In the winter, decided against spending at all. Have put out that kind of sound. The project has been on a continual upward trajectory. Now, if we win the Champions League, they might just decide to have like a Peter Cech summer and just go, it's fine. Like, we won the Champions League. Like, don't worry about it. We're just not going to spend anything. If we don't, they have set themselves up that this summer feels like they've made it into a bigger thing than it needed to be. They could have brushed it off a lot more. And I think the club themselves have built it up towards this summer and have kind of fed into that fan feeling and have kind of made a rod for their own backs if they don't do something pretty impressive this summer. And by getting in such an experienced sporting director and saying they wanted him to get started as soon as possible to make sure he was ready for the summer, all of the noise.
Well, they must have
this idea.
They must have given him some guarantees, because if you're planning not to spend, then you just stick with Jason Ato. He's in the job. He's not whereas to get someone like Berta in. What's going to be interesting is that in the summer, in terms of the hierarchy with the Cronkies and stuff, is that Josh has now taken a more hands-on job with the basketball operation, the Denver Nuggets in the US, and he's actually going to be sort of more day-to-day. So if we're suddenly having to rely on and they seem to be the final say-so in all our transactions, if we're now having to rely on someone else who's distracted by other stuff, because you could see in previous summers he was all about Arsenal, he was there with the team when they were playing in LA, and distracted this year, and I'm wondering if that's going to have an impact, because we're slow as hell as is getting deals over the line. Imagine then having to sort of like, oh, by the way, can you get away from your day job and just sign this check? So I wonder if that's going to maybe have an impact. I don't know, just a little thing another thing to add to the mix.
Yeah, and we're run by lawyers, which kind of holds even more up. So it's kind of a bit of this and a bit of that. But it'd be interesting to see whether Berta actually has the reins and he can actually make decisions for himself, or he's got to get everything ratified by Josh, and we need to do that to get things done.
Well, I think a couple of the deals that are known as being bad deals that he did in Spain were deals where the owners got involved and told him they wanted players to get deals done. So ones like Felix and then these big money ones that went wrong were ones where owners had put pressure on him to do a deal, as opposed to his own deals. And I do think that an element of when he's having this conversation with Arsenal, and I'm going to come to you, will have been around what is the role here? Like, what input is this? Who pulls the strings on this project? Is it Arteta? Is it me? Is it you guys as the owners? I think there will have been quite a lot of not wanting to repeat some of the mistakes that have happened in his career.
Yeah, for sure.
But
he did Felix twice, didn't he? Yeah, Felix twice, Griezmann twice.
Done Griezmann twice.
He did Griezmann. Well, Griezmann twice worked. That's brilliant. He sold him like
he made money on it each time, didn't he?
Bought him back for 22.
30 million and sold him for 100 million. So
yeah.
If he can do that with, like, I don't know, Zinchenko or something.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah,
gonna
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Do it with Oyedeji that's paid
Yeah.
6 minutes or something. Yeah, 45 million, please. Thank you very much. Yeah, happy days. What does the summer look like for you, George? What who do you think we're bringing in? Who do you think we're going to get rid of?
I think
We'll do a brief snapshot. We're not going to do the whole 9 yards, otherwise we're here all night.
Yeah, so basically, first, what? No, I'm joking. I think they bring in a couple of attacking, like forward players, midfielder, and I still think we bring that goalkeeper in. I just think there's been too much talk about it.
Garcia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's like a couple of fringe players that we say. I think Partey will actually leave. I don't know if that's. I've seen stuff online saying that they're not offering him a new deal, so I don't know if that's official or that's just people saying stuff. But obviously, if you do get rid of Partey and Jorginho, you need to bring someone else in. And I just think they need to bring a striker. And I can't, like, last time we had a proper striker, would you say since Aubameyang, Lacazette time?
I mean, we had Balogun, didn't we? We had Balogun and
I said a proper
and
striker.
Nketiah. We haven't even replaced them. It's outrageous. We still haven't replaced those two that just bit plot players that we just didn't.
Gyökeres is the one that I want. If I'm honest, I don't think Isak's realistic. Like, because especially if Newcastle get Champions League, they're not gonna. Well, even if they don't, they'll still not sell him for over 150 million, will they? So, but Gyökeres
depends on the constraints, doesn't it? But at the end of the day, if they're getting, if they're going to get Champions League football, and he's not bothered about going, I don't think that they're going to sell him anyway. I think
I will be honest, I'm not so sure. I've got quite a few more doubts about Nico Williams in my head now. I'm just not sure. Like, I watched him play against Rangers, and I went. Like, I watched I just think
his numbers don't stack up this season either.
No, it just seems
the
like
thing is, he had a poor start. His second half of the season are a lot better.
Yeah,
for me, the thing with Williams is what are his wage demands? Because the reason we haven't done the deal for him previously was because he wanted to be our best paid player.
Yeah.
When I watch him, he does not look like the caliber who should be the best paid player.
No. And that's what concerns me with it.
The thing is that I heard that had changed slightly because he wanted to sign for Barcelona. Barcelona have basically said that they're not signing him. Then he said he was going to sign a lifelong contract with Bilbao. And it's like, well, that doesn't make any sense either. And since Barcelona kind of dropped interest, they basically went, well, his wage demands aren't quite so much as they were, so to speak. So, yeah, it's going to be a watch his space. But
yeah,
I've seen what that guy can do. He's ridiculous. He is ridiculous when he gets going. Absolutely ridiculous.
I think he will frustrate us and excite us. In
but I remember a time we had Jovino, mate. and that is the opposite. That's the epitome of frustration. You can't go that low for me.
But only too similar to Martinelli, and we're on a higher level apparently than Martinelli.
No, his numbers are even worse than Martinelli's. Martinelli's.
No, they're not.
Yeah. Better numbers than. And then Semenyo as well. So Martinelli gets a bad ride all the time. And if his numbers on less minutes are much better than Williams, much better than Semenyo from Bournemouth. And I think it's just with him, it's the familiarity breeds contempt thing, and because he's compared to Saka on the other side, who's gone stratospheric, all the rest of it. But
I don't agree with that. I actually think there's a reason that Martinelli is more scrutinised than anybody else. Right?
Why is that?
Because he's a jet engine, and the jet engine just literally goes in a straight line, right? And when it gets to the point from A to B, it either fizzles out because it's in a pond, or it actually gets you and lands you safely, right? And his landing safely is putting a ball on a plate for somebody else to do something with, right? And the reason that he's not being perceived as productive as he has been is because he's going A to B and there's been nothing with it. And
Yeah,
I'd tell you something.
I think Martinelli gets too hard of a time from Arsenal fans.
Yeah, but
Like,
that's why it is, because you don't see another dimension to it. You literally just see that, and that's it.
See,
What about his defensive work
Yeah,
as
but
well?
even nobody sees that. Nobody
I
looks
think
at
you get
that.
more flair from Martinelli than
Yeah.
almost
I do.
anyone else in our team. Like other than Odegaard, like if you look for little individual moments of skill in a game, Martinelli is like for pure enjoyment of watching football. Martinelli's one of our only players. Odegaard loves a little back heel. Other players are a lot maybe more efficient. Martinelli loves a silly little flick. Like look at the nutmeg on Endrick against Real Madrid.
Yeah.
He loves. What was it against Everton where he did the little collect with one foot and then back heel to run onto? Like
Yeah, for sure.
no one else even tries that stuff in our team.
Yeah, but when
He's
it doesn't
got, like,
work, you look very silly.
yeah, but when it does, it's amazing. Like, and that
Yeah.
is what football's about. Like, there's
Yeah,
Well,
enjoyment.
then going to
sure.
do the same.
I genuinely think fans who get annoyed with Martinelli will have similar things.
Well, that's
with
what my
Williams
thing
or
is.
similar
Like,
type
I
of
think
player.
they have a similar thing with Nico Williams. Like, so that's why I mean, do they look? Is it worth looking? I don't know. I'm not Bertha, but like,
Who are you putting in his place then? If you're not convinced with Williams, who are you putting in?
I think the one from AC Milan, Rafael Leo, is a lot better than Williams.
That's going to cost you in excess of 100 million quid.
Well, but if you want the better players, mate, you have to pay the money.
Is he better though?
I still quite like Lookman because I
like
think
Lookman.
he's got a release clause. He's ready-made, playing at his peak, consistent.
He don't like Atalanta.
But he's not an upgrade on Martinelli.
No, but
That's the thing.
I really like Martinelli. I would happily have Martinelli play most of our games. Like, but if you can have a ready-made player who's at that level who can step in and rotate,
I think
that's good
he
enough.
needs a bit of help sometimes, Martinelli.
Yeah.
What I mean by that, I think, like, I'm not the biggest fan of Trossard starting week in, week out. Like, you do it now because you have to, but I think he done a job what he done. But I think this is where if you could bring someone in to help Martinelli, like rotate Martinelli in, him play one game then the other, then I think there's people out there. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm a bit biased, but I think Aleo's a lot better than Trossard, and I do think he's a lot better than Williams. I don't know, like the other top players, yeah, you're going to spend a lot of money for, but sometimes you have to.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I mean, you're going to end up paying top money anyway because obviously you've got his wages to cover as well, and he's going to be on a length contract. There's going to be a signing on bonus. There's going to be the agents' fees. There's going to be, whatever bonuses you're putting in there as well. So
I wouldn't mind the Barcelona kid, Liamal. Yeah, he'll do. He might.
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't we all? I mean, I wouldn't mind Partey as well, but that's not happening, is it?
That.
But,
Well, you said who would I want, so there you go. Just
yeah, I mean, I was going with more realistic.
I need to watch more European-based football, but I've heard like a couple of people say Nico Williams and that one from Wolves. I won't be touching that one from Wolves with a barge pole, personally.
Cunha.
Yeah, he's just he's
What about
fit.
Yeah, I think he's
Semenyo?
going to Man United.
Not because he's I just mean like the red cards and like it. All you'd have to do is sneeze playing for us, and he'd be off. Wouldn't he? Like,
Yeah, right. You're right. Absolutely right.
oh yeah, I don't know. Incensio, like, does he stay at Villa? I don't know.
I don't know why he's gone. I don't know whether he's gone for like good or
Xavi
or
Simons. I've heard he's.
yeah, 80 million. Yeah, I'd be taking him all day long.
But if you'd like, instead of spending 150 on Isak, say, I don't know, I'm not the finance man, but just say they spend 80 on Gyökeres and 80 on him. That's only 10 million more than what you would have spent on Isak.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think
Plus
like you
wages, obviously. But
yeah. But I like you say, I think Isak's off the table because
yeah,
we need other positions. If we only needed one position, that's perfectly fine. We go for Isak, but we need multiple positions. So,
but then
I
do you
don't.
go big someone like that? Then does that push Martinelli out, which we don't really want to do? If you get what I mean.
I don't think it pushes anybody out, to be honest, because obviously don't forget that pretty much most wingers, actually, apart from Saka,
Yeah,
can play both sides.
yeah,
So you've then got obviously Saka and Waneri on the right hand side, but
yeah.
you've got cover for them, so you can play cup games with those as cover. You know, and you don't have to, just because you're dropping from a first team, you're not dropping altogether anyway, because you're putting on a bench and you're rotating. So it's like,
And
well,
Martinelli is the kind of player who has the right mentality. If someone else better than him came in, he's not going to throw his toys out the pram. He would get his
I think
head
he loves the club as well, so I
try and
think
get
that
back.
helps.
That's why I'd rather have someone to come in to replace Trossard, because I don't think Trossard has the
Yeah,
right.
Trossard's got to be the one to be replaced. I think
Yeah.
Martinelli is a perfect player to have in your squad. His
Yeah.
attitude, the way he, you look, you go back to the documentary that we did, the way they talk about him training, like it's that he's all in all the time to do
What is he? He's only like 23, isn't he? 24.
Yeah, he's like 23.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
he's not
he's
even
not
old.
very old.
And his 22-23 season is better than most Premier League players ever achieve in their careers. that season in the Premier League.
You think he kicked
up here.
Rodrigo out of the Brazil team, like, and that's at that time that's no mean feat. So I think people. That's what I think. People actually do forget that. Like people span on about Vinicius Junior, Rodrigo, and all that, but Martinelli, I don't think there was a better winger in that season across. Well, at least he was in the top 2 or top 3 across the world for me that season.
Yeah, I mean, he did have a drop off for that point of view, and I'm not talking about basically deleting Martinelli at all, but I do think that that we need better not better. We need more options in that position.
We definitely need another left wing, top quality option. Then we need a striker, a left winger. We have to have a midfielder because Jorginho's going and Partey is most likely gone as well. So as a minimum, left wing striker midfielder has to happen.
We might also need a left back.
We don't need a left back. We can't.
Well, Zinchenko's going. Tierney's going. Kivior might go. Tomiyasu's nowhere to be seen. I'm
going to rage quit in a minute.
I don't think Kivior's going anymore. I think he's.
I think he will
feel like when there was the chance for him to play, he played. He will feel like there's an opportunity within this squad for him to play. That will keep him. I think that will keep him just about happy to stay on. I think Arteta likes him enough.
I think
he's
they need
the perfect example. He's the perfect example for selling when we feel uncomfortable and getting the most money, because this run that he's having, and if we do well in the Champions League,
puts a few
is adding millions and millions to his thing, and he's one of our most sellable assets in terms of getting money in. So this is where you go, you know what, we sell him for 40, we get someone younger in for 20 and move on. Also, Calafiori, we're still not to see how his fitness record, how he's going to stay. So are you going to so I agree, I don't want to sell him. But then again, we never want to sell the players that we like or doing well. We only want to sell the rubbish ones, but no one else wants the rubbish ones. So it's
but I also think with the injury record of Calafiori, he's a bit of a backup for that, to basically say, like, okay, well, if he's injured, if he's out a little bit, then it doesn't matter. We've got cover for Gabriel as well.
Well, I reckon Arteta's done is that he's like said to Saliba, put that little mistake in against Madrid, and then they'll come in and put a 90 million bid in for Kivior and say, look, you don't want Saliba, go for Kivior.
Yeah, you can have Kivior. We'll buy Howson is the one apparently that's rumored today that we're going for, who has a 50 million release clause, I believe. So
19 years old.
I think
Yeah.
there was Hato as well, who we were linked to last.
And he can play left back as well, Hato.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So there are players out there, and if on Kivior we're not sure, or if he's unsure whether he wants to stay and play the role he is, and a good offer comes in, then you sell him and you use all of the money on one of those players, and you go, all right, then it's one in, one out. The quality's sort of all right, and you've got a couple of years in that young player to see if they're good enough, but also where they'll be happy to kind of play their way into the team. So if something like that comes along, I think you do it, but it has to be done as a domino deal rather than a standalone one. Because if he goes, then we are light.
I wouldn't say concerns me, but I keep hearing all this stuff about Zubimendi, and like I don't believe that until that's official. Like because that's changed their mind so many times, but it just seems like they're all planning. Like so, I wonder if that doesn't happen, who they would go for, because it's got to be. They've got to go for someone. I know people said, "Oh, we're on the verge," but yeah, I just don't trust it. Just don't trust it.
I'm almost convinced that that's done. I think nothing's done until it's done. But yeah, I think Marino was a facilitator in that, to be honest.
Yeah, and the rumours are that will be announced before the window even opens. I think that everyone at the club, I think, thinks it's done. Whether it is or not, I think the club clearly thinks it is.
Yeah, the only reason it hasn't been done is basically because you instantly have to take the money to La Liga headquarters and
drop it in their lap.
and drop it in their lap. So at this current time, the player has to do that.
Oh, okay.
But until the end of the season, when it comes to the end of the season, the last game of the season, anybody can do it.
Yeah.
But whilst it's mid-season, he has to take it himself.
Do you think they only buy one midfielder with Partey and Jorginho Godo?
I think probably actually because of Marino coming in as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we got Rice there as well. So
I just wonder if that means Skelly does next season potentially.
And he actually slips into midfield.
Yeah.
I genuinely think Lewis Skelly is just going to be a left back.
I think it's a mistake if he now goes into midfield.
Yeah.
Well, he's a midfielder. He doesn't play left back. If you look at his average position, he's nowhere near the left side of the pitch.
No, if you think about personally,
at the ball, and actually, if you put him in, you need, because then having him at left back and the way he plays the game, he's practically a midfielder as it is, but then he covers at left back when we need him.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't.
Yeah, exactly. So
our system it works having a player like him.
Yeah.
Don't change it. Well, if it's working.
Yeah, so you basically get your DM that's basically sat in with the centre backs anyway. They're spread out a little bit, and he's essentially a midfielder anyway. But
then he turns into Vieira and runs the length of the pitch, pushing players out of his way.
Yeah, but I think the biggest reason that obviously that he'd stay there is because of his England call up.
Well, left back for England is the best chance for a young player to stake a consistent international place. So why would you move? Why would you at club level try and push to move out of that position to a place where you're never going to play international?
No, and it's probably going to be quite the opposite, where he basically says, "I want to stay in that position, because that's my best chance."
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of options in midfield.
Because he ain't getting in that midfield.
No.
I think you're more likely to get Calafiori going into the midfield than MLS.
Yeah.
Just because of the way he operates. He's better centrally. Yeah, I think he's a better left-sided centre back than a left back, and I think you could put him anywhere in midfield, given how progressive he is and how sort of forward-thinking he is and stuff like that, and just also his lack of pace. Sort of gets a bit found out at left back.
I just wish he'd stay fit.
He's just been unlucky, I think. He's just
I mean, if you look at our players across the back line, purely from a quality perspective, I challenge anyone to point out a better group of defensive players as a group in any team in the world, because White and Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Calafiori, MLS, like it's in every position there is top quality kind of backup to step in, and they can. Tomiyasu is brilliant if he's
Oh.
fit. Fantastic.
No, forget Tomiyasu, man.
Like no, but just purely from a quality perspective, if you just looked at the players you have and you went, "Oh, they're all fit." It's the beginning of a season on FIFA. You look at them all, you'd go, "This is ridiculous." Like sell some of these players. You can't have this much. You can't hoard this kind of quality into your defense. But during the season, we're like, "Oh, who can we play? Get Partey at right back. We need. Are there any good players? Because they're all injured."
Literally the first 5 games, wasn't it?
Like, I can't believe you put them above Romero and Van der Ven. That's what I've done. Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
That's what I got told by loads of Tottenham fans at the start of the season. Romero and Van der Ven were better than Saliba and Gabriel.
Yeah.
I've
seen United players talking about how like De Ligt is best centre back in the league. It's madness.
Yeah, because he's got 8 players round him now because you're parking the bus.
Yeah.
We can. You see that where you are actually accusing us of parking the bus. That's what you're doing. You literally accuse us all of going. Well, you didn't come out your second half. You're out of your own half. You didn't do this. You didn't do that. You got most minutes in the opposition half and the opposition penalty box, by the way. But we never come out of our own half, apparently. But now you're analysing your own game, and they get to the halfway line and they get a nosebleed. So playing like blooming Leicester.
It is beautiful though, watching United and Spurs in the same season. Just try to see who could be the worst team.
They could still win something though. That's
unfortunately. I know it's tainted by the fact that Spurs are playing a law firm in the semi-finals of the.
That's what it reminds me of. Like Ange Postecoglou is going to do a John Cena. He's going to like win them the Europa League and then say I'm out. See you later.
And then leave. Mic drop.
He's already said he's out.
I told you I win in my second season. Mic drop. Walk out the door.
Yeah. I won your only trophy. Your only European trophy. Yeah. See you later. I'm out.
Yeah.
See, I'm grey because of you.
If we win the Champions League, I don't even mind because we can then beat them in the Super Cup and just really hammer home that we're better than them.
We're never Ryan Mason at the helm.
Yeah, Ryan Mason. Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be interesting in the summer anyway, isn't it? Because we're all kind of expecting big things, and and if it doesn't happen, then we're kind of, I for one, I'm going to lose my crap, to be honest, because I've had enough. I've had enough of kind of being the has-been. Not the has-been, it has been the wannabe, if you know what I mean.
The bridesmaid.
Yeah, the bridesmaid, never the bride. So I just hope we get it done, and
that's what you're talking about. We're winning the Champions League this season, anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, if we win that as well, then I don't want that to scupper plans either. But yes, I'll be I've supported from the word go, so I'm more than entitled to celebrate it. Everybody is entitled to celebrate it however they wish, whether they've been Arteta out, Arteta in, or whatever. I don't really give a crap. You support however you want to support. You do what you're going to do, whatever. But my biggest issue is when people tell people how they should support their club. You know, we've all got our own minds, our own opinions. Otherwise, what's the point of having podcasts? What's the point of being on shows and whatever? Yes. So, I'm not going to tell you how to support your club. You don't tell me how to support mine. Simple as that, really.
Let's just look forward to Raheem scoring the winner.
It's going to be covered in pictures of Arteta with the Champions League for weeks. Just his face and the trophy over and over again.
Mate, I'll build him a statue myself. It might be out of a pallet, but I'll make him a statue myself. You know what I mean? I've got no problem with that. I have no problem with Arteta at all. My bugbear has been with the board pretty much all along. So, I just hope we get it done, and I hope we get the transfer window done, and I hope we win the league next year, and
Got to look forward to Raheem scoring the winner against Barcelona. In
Well,
final.
this is the another thing, though. Raheem the Dream becomes Chelsea's problem at the end of the season again. So,
350,000 a
They-
week
he-
problem.
well, he's already
Yeah.
costing them 210,000 a week, and he's not even playing there. So, whilst we didn't help ourselves, we didn't help them either.
Shame.
So, all right, they got 100 grand off their books for their death row contracts. But
I mean,
They
it doesn't
brought,
make any
they
difference,
brought
does
a
it?
couple of
They've sold the
youngsters in
women's team.
already.
Like the 100 grand a week's nothing to them. Like they what did they do? They sold all their properties, their hotels, to themselves. They then sold their women's team. Like, what kind of club sells their women's team?
Yeah, mate. Yeah,
Like,
to themselves, though.
No, yeah. To like, what kind of disgraceful move is that? Like, oh no, just make them a separate club. Just flog them, flog the women. That doesn't matter. That'll cover our hundreds of millions of ridiculous losses on being a poorly run club. Like, what do they do this summer? Like, who's getting sold?
Mad, absolutely mad. I mean, even if they sell players, they've got to buy players to do better in the league anyway, haven't they? So it's a bit of a weird one for me.
We've got to hope they don't get Champions League, that they finish 6th, because they really need the Champions League money. So, of all the clubs, just if they finish,
I want them to finish 7th, not 6th.
Oh, well, I don't care. Just
no, 7th is conference.
as long as they don't finish
league,
top 5, I'll even have City above them, even have Newcastle, but they need Champions League money.
No, 7th is Conference League again, isn't it?
No, not necessarily.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It might need,
it depends what happens with Tottenham and Man United.
Yeah, if they one of them, I think it could go down to 8th.
And City might get relegated.
No. No, it doesn't go down to 8th.
Oh, yeah, completely forgotten about that. I think everyone has. They've not been mentioned for so long.
If they drop the points deduction on them at the end of the season, it might mean that everyone jumps a place up and all of a sudden has a very different season.
Yeah, it's not happening.
The
mate.
reason the
Don't hold your
Conference
breath
League
on that one, mate.
the reason it could go down to 8th is because it all depends if Crystal Palace go and win the FA Cup, that take one of the Europa League positions go to them, and then it all depends on.
Yeah, but they're not in that position anyway.
No, but obviously the position would go down, so they wouldn't.
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't. No.
Well, that's what UEFA have said, and I think they know probably a bit more. So
no, it won't. It doesn't go down because they're not in that position, though.
No,
If
but
they-
what? No, but you
they-
get a Europa League spot if you win the FA Cup.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but they're not in that position. Is what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
If because
They
they're
get
outside
that
the top
anyway.
8, it doesn't go to the 9th place sort of thing. Yeah, that's right.
So it doesn't drop down anymore. It's an added position.
But then if Chelsea win the Conference League,
They get an added.
well,
Europa
they
spot.
should. Well, they should win the Conference League.
Yeah, they should. Yeah, but
then that's what I mean.
but that's added. They don't take it away anymore and then
Okay.
drop them down.
But they
Because-
won't get Champions League if they don't finish in the top 5. They don't get Champions League.
That's
the
what
thing.
I was trying to
Yeah.
get at. They definitely.
Well, I don't care which other European tournament they have, as long as it's not Champions League.
Yeah,
because
for
that's where the
sure.
money's at.
Even if they finish 6th, I don't think they can get Champions League, can they?
No, but because they're already in a Europa spot,
Yeah.
they'd already get a spot.
But I
they'd
think they'll
not
be
get-
lucky to finish 6th, to be honest.
Yeah, I think they'll finish 7th.
Because Villa are pushing, aren't they? They've won quite a few games, so
Yeah, but this is what I was saying earlier as well with everybody behind us. They're all playing each other as well.
yeah.
So they're
Man
going to be
City
held
have-
back a little bit as
I
well.
don't know what the Man City Villa score was tonight. but-
It's 1-1.
It's
I think.
1-1. 1-1 at the moment.
So
There you go. Well, look, I've got something here that guarantees that we win the Champions League.
Oh,
So
dear.
Pope John Paul the First passed away in
I've seen that.
1978, and an English team won the Champions League. Pope John Paul II passed away in 2005. An English team won the Champions League. Pope Benedict the 16th in 2022. An English team won the Champions League. Guess who's just passed away? Old Popey boy, Pope Francis. We're winning it.
I do like.
I'll take that as fact.
I do
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it.
I'll
How
take
they're
that as well.
sacrificing
Well,
themselves.
I'm taking it as gospel.
Absolutely, yeah.
I do like it how they're sacrificing
Oh,
themselves for our
good
Champions
God.
League trophy.
There you go. We're winning a lot. And
So
then it'll be
it
really
might
funny if
the meme
Spurs.
of Arteta and the Pope holding up the Champions League.
I'll
Well,
statue
and
of
it-
that in the ground. Pope John Paul and Arteta holding the Champions League.
That'll be the new signing. Yeah.
And it'll be so funny if Spurs do win the Europa tin pot or whatever, and we win the Champions League, so everyone just completely ignores what they've done. So
Yeah.
that'll be.
Do you actually think they're winning it? Do you actually think they can win
I
that?
think they've,
I
I
really
think
hope
they've,
not.
I hope not, but they've annoyingly got a chance.
I'd rather Man United won it because.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
would as
there's-
well.
I'd rather Atletico Bilbao win it, to be honest.
Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah,
But-
obviously, yes. But, yeah, I'd
Let
rather
Nico
that as well.
Williams,
But
I don't know, win it and then say, I
Well,
don't know.
apparently, then Williams brothers are injured at the moment.
Oh,
which is
they
good
fit
news.
in at Arsenal, don't they?
he scored against United, didn't he? He
They
scored
didn't
in the
play
last game, Williams. I'm sure
No.
he did.
No, that was Leon. No, they're playing
No,
in the
the last league game.
I don't know. He didn't look that good against Rangers, so
He did score. No, he scored the winner against Rangers, didn't he?
I didn't think he did.
I'm
He
gonna
might
have,
have
I'm
done.
gonna have a look.
I'm gonna look now.
I'm gonna have a look.
I'm gonna look now. I'm sure.
See, there's also one silver lining if all of the English clubs win all of the European competitions, and that's that no one will care about Liverpool winning the league.
Oh,
Yeah,
but no one
I-
cares anyway. But yeah.
I don't think anybody cares now, do they? No.
We're just the sun thieves to them.
Yeah.
Like they've invented the world and
Yeah.
human civilization and every song because they've had the Beatles. They think they've create music.
Oh God, it's just, and then they call it cringe because we're doing whatever, and you're like, I was talking to one on Twitter, and he's like, "You're calling us cringe when everybody takes songs, and what's the best thing is that you didn't invent the songs.
They even never walk
You
alone.
stole them from someone else."
I'm just wondering
yeah.
whether they had their last league title was an asterisk because of the pandemic. I'm wondering if we
I
can
don't do that.
I'm
I
wondering
don't
if we
do
can
that
have
because then it.
asterisks. If we can have another one with David Coote underneath. Because
Yeah,
it was at that moment
but-
that the title was handed to Liverpool.
Yeah, but we do it to them, they'll do it to us, wouldn't they? So it's
Yeah. Nico
same.
Williams groin injury early May 25.
Just in time to sign for Arsenal. Cool. Nice.
Yeah.
That's FOTMob. That's on FOTMob.
That's surely got to be like a sign that he's signing for us if he's injured.
Yeah.
But he did score the winner. But
Yeah, he played against Rangers. Yeah, he did score
Yeah,
against
okay.
Rangers.
So
That was on the
so
17th
they
of
scored a
April.
penalty, and then he scored the nail in the coffin, as it were.
Shame.
No,
But
not
he didn't play in the last game.
another Pope John Paul reference. No,
No.
not another one.
if we're comparing Williams to Martinelli scored the winner against Real Madrid at the Bernabeu. So
It's all about levels, isn't it?
He's not in the same competition, so he's just a bit lame, really. But yeah, at the end of the day, I don't care what happens. I just need it to happen in the final. And
Barca is who I want to beat.
so you think you think we'll beat PSG, and then you want Barca, do you?
Yeah, I think we could beat them.
They're a better matchup for us than Inter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so as well.
I just think
stylistically, we
they're
would do
frustrated.
better against Barca. But there's some PTSD that is still sitting with me.
yes.
And Barca in the final of the Champions League.
I just think
Yeah, I
with
agree with that as
Inter
well.
defensively, we would really struggle. Like how they set out with their game plan. Whereas Barcelona, I think we've got more of a
I think
chance.
it surprised Barcelona because they, a little bit like Madrid, just wouldn't. They're too arrogant to, I think,
Yeah.
to adjust themselves for how we play.
Yeah.
And so I think we would have a really good chance against Barca. Whereas Inter, we can't break down teams like Inter.
No.
Like they're like a really high quality Newcastle. Like and that's we can't do it against normal Newcastle. Like, so it would be. I'd really worry if it was Inter in the final.
No.
The only thing that kind of I want to put out there that from a position of we're not playing for anything else, and I know that Barcelona are playing for something else, but they're clear of Real Madrid at the minute. Inter are level on points with Napoli in the league, so they can't rotate players. So they can't. They're basically not resting players, are they? Because they're expected to win the league. So potentially, they could have more fatigue, more injuries, more whatever. So that's the only way that I would kind of go for Inter. But I think at this point anybody can win it, can't they?
Apart from
Yeah,
Liverpool.
I think so. I think Opta have got us as favourites.
Yeah.
Not surprised. Yeah.
Who's got as favourites?
I think it was Opta, their supercomputer. Now,
Was that the one where it's about 0.2%?
No, so that was against Real Madrid. They had us at 50.2% against Real Madrid, but they had us third favourites for the whole thing. Now, since winning that, they've got us as slight favourites. It's all very close between the four teams.
I thought it was like 28.7, and then
they got us at 28 point something, and then a percentage or something to the next. It's all very tight. I think it was Inter second. Did they have Inter as second? I think it was all very close now, but they had us as
I've got it here. So Arsenal 28.7, Inter 25.5, Barcelona 21.8, and PSG 24. But I guess that takes into account the matchups as well.
I've not really watched PSG, but they're a lot better than they was when we played them at the Emirates.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think they're that much different, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
But they look like they could be got at.
Yeah.
Well, I think they play very similar to Liverpool.
Yeah.
They play very, very similar to Liverpool. Basically, swing balls out to the wingers and then run like the wind.
Yeah, and they've got a couple of. Yeah, they are a different team. They're a better player, better team, much better team. They're going to have. It's going to be tough. It's going to be an interesting game. But yeah, they can be got at, but they've also got the pace and the power to get at us and transition, and it's going to be. And they're really big on possession. I think throughout the Champions League, I think bar one game they had like 60. Even against us, they had 65% possession. In most of the games in the Champions League, they have higher possession. Now this is different because it's going to be a cup game, and we need to go into the second leg with something on hand. But yeah, I think they're slight favourites for the tie, and the likes of Dembele, Doué, and Barcola, and then I can't pronounce the guy's name. They're a threat going forward. And I don't know if you saw I don't know if you saw the first leg that they battered Liverpool and still lost 1-0. That's what they're capable of. But the good thing is that Neves, they're a young team, so that's the thing. How are they going to cope with the occasion being a young team? I mean, we've got young, but we've got still some experience dotted around the place with the likes of Marino, the likes of Rice, who've both been in European competitions and won stuff. So I think it's a very even matchup. It could go either way.
Yeah.
But don't expect the team that we beat 2-0.
No, I was just checking.
Sorry about that. and their own. Go on.
Yeah.
I think we do beat them 2-0.
I'll take 2-0.
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah. And they're
I think we do
winning. They're winning La Liga by 22 points.
Oh, so it's close.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
so there's no resting. There's no worry.
There's no resting going on there.
And everyone's moaning about us being like 10 or 11 behind Liverpool.
Yeah. Right, quick prediction for the Palace game then before we depart.
Really boring 1-0.
A 1-1. Okay.
Yeah.
3-1.
3-1.
2-0, 3-0.
I'm going for a 4-1, but I don't think it will be that. But I did.
I just think
quite...
too much that no one's going to care. I just can't see us turning up when they're thinking we're playing PSG.
No,
Like, how are you getting it out of your head now?
I think there's going to be calamities on their part.
I think we get 1 or 2 goals, and they're not going to try and fight back, and we're not going to try and score more.
If we score early, I think that's probably just game over.
Yeah. And because we're at home, they will want to try a bit harder. They're not going to completely like just down tools, but we're at home crowd. I think they'll want to try and do something. And there might be, as like you said, there's maybe some players that want to create an impression and want to do well, so that they're footballers. Like even us, if we were to play football, or whenever we play football in meaningless games, we'd still try. We still want to score goals, and we still want to do whatever. So it's just I just don't think that Palace will have the energy to try and fight back if we get 1 or 2 goals in the first half.
I still think Arteta's he wants to just secure that second place if he can. Like you think we beat Palace, and then I don't know if there's any other games like around us, but
I think that's it, isn't it? But if we beat Palace, then I think that's pretty much it.
Because then we've got is it Bournemouth, Liverpool, Newcastle, Southampton?
Southampton is the last one.
I might have missed one out there, but like I think that's enough. Like you say, if we can beat Palace, I think it's because I think people forget as well. These other teams beneath us have got to all play each other still.
Yeah, exactly. I think the
I think Villa battering Newcastle really helped us.
Yeah, and it's a draw with Man City, Villa at the minute. So if that stays a draw,
they're all constantly dropping points. Like there's no one's got any real form in the league.
But they're playing each other as well. So even if they do, they're pushing each other away, and it's kind of it's a 6-pointer for them. But all it's doing is helping us. Really, it's just building a bigger buffer. Really.
Yeah.
So I think
we'll smash Palace 5-6-0 now, and we'll be completely on form, and they'll all be fired up and ready for. We're all thinking, it's going to be this quiet game. You wait and see now. They'll go out and destroy them.
We'll be messaging you going, Callum, where's your 1-1?
I mean, I don't really care, to be honest, as long as we don't get any injuries out of it, and such like we get. I'd even take a point, to be honest with you.
Because can we qualify for Champions? We don't qualify actually for Champions League if we win tomorrow, do we?
We are. What are we on?
Because won't that be 10?
66.
We'll be 60. We'll be 10 points. 10 points clear with 12 points to play. So no.
Bournemouth then potentially.
Yeah. So one more win, basically. One more. Actually, could do it with the draw.
Yeah,
could do it the draw. But that's provided they're not playing each other anyway, which they probably are. So, it's much of a muchness. Right, I think we've exhausted that one, but yes. Tabs, thank you very much for joining us.
My pleasure. Dodgy internet. I blame the kids.
Blame the kids.
I thought he was speechless. To be fair.
They should be revising for their exams. That's what they should be doing.
Yeah, not on the internet. Stop your gaming. Georgie boy, thank you very much for joining us.
Cheers, mate. Thanks for having me. It's been a good show.
Welcome anytime. Has been a great show. And Callum, nice to see you back, mate.
Thanks very much. I'm gonna try and jump on Thursday because I've got a whole load of talking about Odegaard that I want to do.
Oh, have you? In a good way or a bad way?
Oh, in a good way.
Okay, yeah. I'm not taking the agenda.
I thought we're coming up to 2 hours now. I'll leave it for now, but Thursday.
Yeah, we'll be here all night. I did say that earlier on. We'll be here all night with spinning into certain things. But been a great show, guys. Thank you everybody that's joined in the chat, and make sure you're liking and subscribing to the channel. Any comments in the comment section on the video, share it out with your mates and anybody else that you feel like sharing it with. But in the meantime, I'm Sparks. This has been Footy Corner, and we'll see you next time. Good night.